Listen very carefully, because what I'm about to say will either wake you up or leave you exactly where you've been weak, confused, and wondering why life keeps punching you in the face. Life is not soft. Life is not fair. Life is a battlefield, and on a battlefield, you either dominate or you get destroyed. There is no middle ground. Every second you hesitate, someone stronger tightens their grip on the opportunities you were too scared to fight for. Every excuse you make becomes a shovel digging your own grave deeper. And if that truth hurts, good. Pain builds warriors, comfort builds victims. There's a version of you right now, somewhere inside, who is unbreakable, unstoppable, intimidating. But that version will never appear until you start acting like you're in a war, not a fairy tale. Winners don't hope, they execute. They don't complain, they build. They don't wait for motivation, they move even when they're bleeding. Every setback is ammunition. Every failure is a weapon. Every scar is a reminder that you survived what others would have died from. You need to develop a mindset so sharp, so disciplined, that the world feels it when you walk into a room. You must become the kind of person life is scared to test, and that only happens through suffering, responsibility, and relentless action. When the world doubts you, good, use it. When people betray you, good, cut them off and level up. When you fall, good, stand up faster and hit back harder, because life will always push you. The question is, will you push back harder? You want to win. Then stop negotiating with your weakness. Stop letting your emotions dictate your destiny. Stop living like you've got unlimited time. You don't. Every day that passes is a day stolen from your potential. Fight for every inch. Fight for your discipline. Fight for your future. Because if you don't, life will crush you without hesitation. Weakness is a choice. Strength is a duty, and the moment you understand this, everything about your life changes. Most people walk around acting like they're victims of circumstance, prisoners of fate, hostages to their own emotions. They blame their environment, their upbringing, their lack of support, their failures. But the truth is far more brutal. Every day, every action, every decision is a vote toward weakness or strength. And the world does not pause for the weak. The world does not bend for the unprepared. Life is a battlefield, and the ones who choose weakness are the ones who get trampled first. You don't become strong by accident. You become strong because you refuse to be anything else. Strength is not a luxury. It's your duty to yourself, to your future, and to anyone who depends on you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they're staring at the mirror, facing the uncomfortable truth about who they really are. And that moment is either the beginning of transformation or the beginning of the end. Because weakness whispers lies. Take it easy. Rest a little more. You'll do it tomorrow. Weakness convinces you that comfort is safety, when in reality, comfort is the slowest form of destruction. You don't even feel it happening. You simply wake up one day realizing you've become a version of yourself you don't respect. And that's when life becomes unbearable. That's when the battlefield swallows you whole. Because if you don't fight for strength, weakness will own you completely. You need to hear every single time you avoid difficulty, every time you avoid discomfort, you are training yourself to lose. You are conditioning your mind to break under pressure. And if you train yourself to break, life will make sure you break often. This is why the strong rise, because they choose the harder path every chance they get. They build discipline like armor. They build resilience like muscle. They confront their fears not because they feel brave, but because they refuse to allow fear to dictate their reality. Strength is not a feeling, it's a decision backed by relentless action. And the ones who become unstoppable are the ones who act even when every fiber of their body wants to quit. Think about the people you admire. The successful, the powerful, the unshakable. None of them got there through softness. None of them became icons by surrendering to their emotions. They built themselves through fire. They looked at their weaknesses, not with shame, but with determination. They saw every flaw as a challenge, every failure as a lesson, every setback as fuel. And that's the mindset you must develop if you expect to survive the war called life. Strength becomes your duty the moment you realize your future depends entirely on what you do today. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is responsible for your growth except you. And the day you take full responsibility is the day weakness loses its power over you. You don't become strong by talking about strength. You become strong by doing the things that scare you, by waking up earlier than your excuses, by working when others sleep, by focusing when others seek distraction, by pushing your limits so far that your old self wouldn't even recognize the person you're becoming. Strength is built in silence, in the hours nobody sees, in the choices nobody applauds. And that's exactly why the strong win. They train in the dark so they can dominate in the light. Weakness is a choice, and every choice has consequences. Choose weakness and life punishes you. Choose strength and life begins to open doors you never even knew existed. The world bends for the strong, not because it wants to, but because it has no other option. And once you understand your duty to become the strongest version of yourself, you no longer wait for opportunities, you create them. You no longer fear the battlefield, you lead on it. You no longer hope for strength, you embody it. Discipline is the only real freedom. And until you understand that truth on a deep, unshakable level, you will continue living like a prisoner inside your own mind. People think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without rules or restrictions. But that kind of freedom is an illusion. It leads to chaos, weakness, and regret. The real chains in life are not the ones on your wrists. They are the ones around your habits, your impulses, and your lack of control. When you cannot command your own actions, someone else will. When you cannot discipline your mind, life will discipline you through failure, disappointment, and missed opportunity. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is the key that unlocks every door that weakness keeps shut. Most people never rise, not because they lack talent, but because they lack control. They wake up when they feel like it, grind when they feel motivated, quit when they feel tired, and complain when life doesn't hand them the results they never earned. They don't realize that motivation is temporary, emotion is unreliable, and comfort is a slow poison. What separates the unstoppable from the average is not inspiration, it's structure. It's the willingness to do the exact things you don't want to do long after the excitement is gone. Discipline gives you the ability to command yourself, and a man who can command himself is a man nobody can break. The moment you start depending on motivation, you've already lost the war. Motivation fades the second life throws a punch. Discipline is what keeps you moving when your motivation is lying unconscious on the floor. Discipline is the voice that says, keep going, when your emotions scream, stop. Discipline is the armor that protects your goals from the sabotage of your own weakness. And once you master it, everything in life becomes easier, not because the world gets softer, but because you get stronger. Think about the future you want. The body, the money, the mindset, the respect. None of it is earned through comfort. None of it arrives through wishful thinking. It requires consistency, repetition, and a level of commitment that most people will never understand because they have been conditioned to quit at the slightest resistance. But you are not like most people. You cannot afford to be, because the battlefield of life does not reward the talented, the lucky, or the emotional. It rewards the disciplined. It rewards the one who shows up day after day, even when it hurts, even when nobody is watching, even when there is no applause. Discipline is the currency of greatness. And every day you refuse to pay that price, your potential becomes more expensive. The strongest version of you is hiding behind the habits you've been avoiding. The life you dream of exists on the other side of the work you've been delaying. 1 hour of discipline is worth more than a month of motivation. The man who trains when he doesn't want to is unbeatable. The man who keeps his word to himself becomes dangerous. The man who builds discipline builds a life others envy, but can never replicate, because discipline is rare. Discipline is hard. Discipline requires sacrifice. And that is exactly why it gives you freedom. The freedom to not be controlled by weakness, by fear, by laziness, by the circumstances that swallow the average man whole. When you master discipline, you don't fear the battlefield of life anymore. You walk onto it with certainty. You know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. You don't collapse under pressure. You respond to it. You don't wait for a better life. You construct it. Discipline is the foundation of every victory you will ever achieve. It turns chaos into order, doubt into confidence, dreams into reality. And once you commit to living with discipline, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you from becoming who you were meant to be. Pressure creates the version of you that comfort never will, and the sooner you embrace that truth, the faster your life transforms. Most people spend their entire existence running from pressure, avoiding challenges, seeking comfort as if it's some kind of reward. But comfort is a trap disguised as peace. It lulls you into softness, drains your ambition, and blinds you from the reality that everything great in life demands stress, struggle, and sacrifice. Pressure is not your enemy. It's the sculptor shaping you into someone stronger, sharper, more capable than you ever imagined. The greatest breakthroughs in your life will always come from moments where everything felt heavy, difficult, and out of control. Because pressure forces you to grow in ways comfort never will. Look at your life and be honest. Every time you've leveled up, every time you became wiser, tougher, more disciplined, it wasn't when things were easy. It was when life had you cornered. It was when you were forced to act, forced to adapt, forced to push harder than you thought possible. That's what pressure does. It exposes the parts of you that need improvement and demands you build new strength. Comfort protects your weaknesses, pressure destroys them. Comfort gives you excuses, pressure gives you clarity. Comfort keeps you the same, pressure forces evolution. And if you avoid pressure, you avoid growth. That's the painful truth nobody wants to accept. The version of you you're dreaming of, the powerful, unstoppable, unbreakable version, will never appear in a comfortable environment. He is born in the fire, not in the warmth. He is forged in adversity, not in ease. You want to become someone exceptional, then you must willingly walk into the very situations others run from. You must embrace the weight that others collapse under. Pressure is the gym for your mind, and every challenge is a set, a rep, a chance to build that internal muscle that separates winners from the weak. Stop asking for a lighter load. Build a stronger back. Think about diamonds. They're created under extreme pressure. Steel becomes unbreakable only after being heated, bent, hammered, and reshaped repeatedly. The same rule applies to you. The more you endure, the more you sharpen your edge. The more responsibility you take on, the more capable you become. The more weight you carry, the less anything in life can intimidate you. Pressure is the process, and the process is what makes you powerful. People who live soft lives always break at the first sign of adversity. They crumble because they've never trained themselves to handle discomfort. They chase ease like it's some kind of accomplishment, but all they're doing is preparing themselves to lose. A soft life creates a soft mind, and a soft mind collapses under the smallest challenges. But a life built under pressure creates a mind built for war. It creates someone who doesn't panic when things go wrong, someone who doesn't freeze when uncertainty hits, someone who rises while everyone else falls. Pressure teaches you to stay calm in chaos, focused under stress, confident when everything is burning around you. Pressure is not trying to break you. It's trying to introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. Every battle, every setback, every overwhelming moment is shaping you. You might not see the growth yet, but it's happening. Just like a seed breaking through the soil, the struggle is part of the emergence. Without pressure, nothing rises. Without resistance, nothing strengthens. Without weight, nothing builds. Most people want the reward without the process, the result without the struggle, the strength without the pressure. But greatness doesn't work that way. You cannot become a warrior in a world of softness. You cannot master yourself while living in comfort. And you cannot expect life to hand you success when you haven't proven you can carry the weight of responsibility that comes with it. Pressure reveals what you're made of. It shows you your limits and then forces you to push past them. And every time you survive another storm, every time you endure another challenge, you become more dangerous, more confident, more unstoppable. Pressure is not the problem. Comfort is. And the man who embraces pressure becomes the man who wins. Responsibility is the force that separates the powerful from the powerless. And until you learn to carry it without hesitation, you will always remain trapped in the same cycle of excuses, distractions, and unfulfilled potential. People chase motivation like it's some magical fuel that will suddenly transform their lives, but motivation is fragile. It disappears the moment life becomes uncomfortable. What truly builds greatness is responsibility, the decision to take complete ownership of your actions, your habits, your failures, your future. Responsibility doesn't care about how you feel, It demands discipline regardless of emotion. And when a man takes full responsibility, he becomes unstoppable because nothing is outside his control anymore. Most people don't lack goals. They lack accountability. They say they want success, but they refuse to take responsibility for the work it requires. They blame the world for their circumstances, blame others for their setbacks, blame timing, luck, and everything except themselves. But the moment you blame something else, you give away your power. You surrender the ability to change. Responsibility is the moment you point the finger at yourself and say, if my life doesn't look the way I want, it's on me, and I will fix it. That mindset alone is enough to elevate you above 99% of people who spend their lives complaining instead of building. The fastest way to become powerful is to stop expecting someone else to save you. Nobody's coming. Not your friends, not your family, not society, not luck. Everything you want in life is earned, not given. And the man who takes responsibility understands that he must be both the architect and the warrior, designing the plan and executing it with precision, even when he's tired, unsure, or afraid. Responsibility forces you to grow because once you commit to carrying the weight of your own success, you no longer have the luxury of weakness. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't rise because they had perfect conditions. They rose because they refused to let excuses control their destiny. They took responsibility for their discipline, their work ethic, their decisions, and their outcomes. When they failed, they didn't crumble. They analyzed, adjusted, and advanced. When life hit them hard, they didn't hide, they stepped up. Responsibility sharpens you. It eliminates the noise. It forces you to confront your flaws and build systems that make you stronger. It turns chaos into structure, uncertainty into strategy, and ambition into reality. The level of responsibility you accept will always match the level of power you gain. If you take partial responsibility, you get partial results. If you take full responsibility, you unlock full potential. When you operate with this mindset, you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. You stop waiting for the right moment. You stop expecting life to be fair. Instead, you create your own conditions. You build habits that match your goals. You do the work even when you don't feel like it, because responsibility doesn't depend on emotion. It depends on commitment. Responsibility also changes the way you see discomfort. Instead of avoiding it, you embrace it because you know it's part of the mission. You understand that every area you avoid is an area you don't control, and every area you don't control becomes a weapon life uses against you. Responsibility forces you to tighten every loose end. It turns your weaknesses into strengths and your fears into fuel. When you hold yourself accountable, there is no situation you cannot handle, no setback you cannot learn from, no challenge you cannot overcome. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel inspired, but inspiration is unreliable. Responsibility is unbreakable. It requires no permission, no emotion, no ideal conditions. It requires only one thing: choice. The choice to rise, to act, to lead. Once you choose responsibility, your life shifts instantly. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. You stop being reactive and become strategic. You stop hoping for change and start creating it. Responsibility gives you the authority to rewrite your entire story. And the truth is simple: the man who takes responsibility becomes the man who wins. Because nothing is more dangerous, more respected, or more unstoppable than someone who refuses to blame anything outside themselves and chooses to carry the full weight of their ambition. Pain is the price of becoming unstoppable, and until you learn to embrace it rather than fear it, you will stay trapped in the same patterns that have held you back your entire life. People look at pain as a punishment, as something unfair or unnecessary, but the truth is simple: pain is the tuition fee for greatness. There is not a single strong man, not a single successful leader, not a single champion who didn't pay for their transformation in suffering. Pain is the currency that buys resilience. It makes you sharper, tougher, and more focused than any comfort ever could. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but pain builds the kind of strength that lasts forever. Every breakthrough you've ever had in life, every moment you grew, every time you leveled up, came from a moment when things were uncomfortable, difficult, or overwhelming. Pain exposes your weaknesses, and that exposure is necessary. You can't fix what you refuse to see. You can't grow if you stay in environments where everything feels easy. Life tests you through pain because it is the only language strong enough to break your old limitations. When you run from pain, you run from evolution itself. When you embrace it, you transform into someone fear cannot control. The very thing you're avoiding is the thing that will change your life. The reps that burn make you strong. The hours that exhaust you build discipline. The challenges that frustrate you sharpen your edge. Pain is the sculptor carving away the weaker parts of you, forcing the strongest version of yourself to emerge. If life were easy, everyone would be powerful. But life is designed to reward those who endure what others avoid. The discomfort you feel today becomes the confidence you carry tomorrow. Pain is not random, it is strategic. It appears exactly where your character needs reinforcement. It shows you where you lack discipline, where you lack patience, where you lack control. And once you recognize that pain is feedback, not failure, everything changes. You stop resisting the process. You stop drowning in self-pity. You start using pain as fuel instead of letting it break you. The people who win in life are not the ones who avoid pain. They are the ones who know how to convert pain into power. They understand that suffering is temporary, but the strength it produces lasts a lifetime. Comfort is the enemy of greatness because comfort teaches you nothing. Comfort keeps you ordinary. Pain teaches you skills you cannot buy. Skills like perseverance, grit, and emotional stamina. Pain makes you dangerous because once you've survived enough of it, nothing scares you anymore. When you've been through the fire and refuse to break, the world feels much smaller, much less intimidating. Pain gives you the type of confidence that cannot be faked. The truth is, pain will visit your life whether you choose it or not. You will suffer from discipline or you will suffer from regret. You will suffer from hard work or you will suffer from the consequences of not working. You will suffer from pushing your limits or you will suffer from living below them. The difference is that one form of pain builds you and the other destroys you. The choice is always yours. When you willingly embrace pain, you take control of your evolution. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop waiting for life to hit you and start hitting back. Pain becomes part of your daily investment. Proof that you showed up, pushed harder, and demanded more from yourself. You start to crave challenge because you understand it's the only way to separate yourself from the billions of people who settle for mediocrity. And this is where true transformation begins, in the moments where the old you wants to quit, but the new you refuses. In the moments where your body says stop, but your mind says keep going. In the moments where everything hurts, but you keep moving because you know pain is shaping you into someone unstoppable. Pain is not the enemy. Avoiding it is. Every scar is a reminder that you survived. Every struggle is a lesson that strengthened you. Every hardship is proof that you're becoming the kind of person who cannot be defeated. Pain builds warriors. Pain builds leaders. Pain builds legends. And once you learn to embrace it, nothing in this world will ever have the power to break you again. Life doesn't reward the good, it rewards the relentless, and that single truth separates those who rise from those who remain invisible. People love to believe that being kind, patient, polite, or well-meaning is enough to earn success, but the world doesn't operate on good intentions. The world responds to pressure, dominance, consistency, and action. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you're willing to fight for. The universe bends to the person who refuses to quit, refuses to slow down, refuses to be average. Relentlessness is the currency of achievement, and the ones who stop at nothing are the ones who get everything. Look around, there are countless good people who work hard, dream big, and hope life will eventually reward them. But hope is not a strategy. Effort without aggression is wasted energy. The battlefield of life has no sympathy for passive ambition. If you want real results, you must be willing to pursue them with a level of consistency that overwhelms every obstacle in your path. The relentless are not necessarily the smartest or the strongest. They are simply the ones who show up long after everyone else has quit. They understand that success is a war of endurance, not luck. The world doesn't care how good your intentions are. It only cares about execution. It only respects the person who outworks, outlasts, and outthinks every excuse, every setback, every distraction. Relentlessness is a mindset that says, I'll keep going until the result appears, and then I'll keep going even further. When you move with this kind of energy, life has no choice but to open doors for you. Opportunities start appearing because you've proven you're worthy of them. People begin to respect you because discipline radiates from your presence. Even your failures become fuel instead of limitations. The reason relentlessness is so powerful is because it eliminates the biggest weakness people have: inconsistency. Most people start strong and die out the moment things get heavy. They get excited for a week, disciplined for a month, motivated until life hits them once. But the relentless don't operate on emotion, they operate on purpose. Their actions aren't controlled by mood, they're controlled by mission. They don't wait for the right moment, they create it. They don't need motivation because they're driven by something deeper, the refusal to return to a life they no longer accept. Success doesn't test your talent. It tests your stamina. It asks, can you keep going when your body is tired, when your mind is exhausted, when nobody claps for you, when everything around you seems slow, unclear, and unfair? Most people break under that pressure, but the relentless thrive in it. They understand that every delay is preparing them. Every setback is sharpening them. Every closed door is redirecting them. They stay locked in because they know the process is molding them into someone capable of carrying the weight of the future they want. Being relentless also changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You become someone who executes. You stop thinking like a spectator and start thinking like a competitor. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for excuses disappears. Your desire for validation dies because you know exactly what you're building and exactly what it requires. When you become relentless, people notice. Success notices. Life notices. Effort stops being something you do and becomes something you embody. Relentlessness is not about being perfect. It's about refusing to stop. It's about showing up when it's boring, when it's painful, when it's inconvenient. It's about choosing progress over comfort again and again until greatness becomes your baseline. The ones who win in life aren't the ones who get everything right. They're the ones who refuse to surrender when everything goes wrong. They keep pushing. They keep rising. They keep evolving. And eventually, the world rewards their consistency with results that once seemed impossible. Life rewards the relentless because relentlessness proves worth. It proves hunger. It proves discipline. It proves you're willing to pay the price most people avoid. And once you develop this mindset, there is no dream too big, no obstacle too strong, no setback too heavy. You become someone fate doesn't want to gamble against, someone who cannot be denied, someone who wins not because life is easy, but because you refuse to stop until it bends to your will. So hear me, really hear me. Life is a battlefield, win or be destroyed. The universe rewards the bold, the disciplined, the relentless, not the ones who wait, doubt, or wish. From this moment forward, make a promise to yourself: you will fight, you will grow, you will rise, you will no longer bow to weakness, fear, or excuses. You will become the warrior your future needs. Because in this world, only the strong survive and only the relentless conquer. Stand up, sharpen your mind, armor your spirit, and win the war.